So today we will discuss about IDOR, that is Insecure Direct Object References. I'm sure you must have visited websites, for instance, securebank.com/balance question mark account equal to 1234. What do you think when you see this link being sent as a pen tester? You must be thinking to put a single quote at the end and try out SQL injection, right? Because that's pretty much fed into your mind till now. But today I'm going to discuss about something else. What happens if we change this account ID? Instead of sending 1234, what if we send 1337 or something else? What happens? So let's explore that right now. Before we go into that, let me show you the difference between authentication and authorization. So authentication versus authorization, that is who you are versus what you can do. And I think image is worth 1,000 words, so why not see an image? So for authentication, we have this thing that it's like an ID card for an employee. It can tell you who you actually are. So if you have an ID card, then someone who is verifying it can say that you are actually who you say you are. For instance, your driving license. If police is conducting a security check or identity check, then you show them your driving license, and that actually tells them that you are the person who you claim to be. And that's what authentication is about. It's telling someone who you actually are, and are you who you claim to be. Then we come to authorization. That is what you can do. Now it's clear that who you are based on the authentication. Now the application or the entity who is confirming about you has to check what you can do. And in those cases, we need authorization. Authorization means what you can do and what you cannot. So it's defining those access controls or privileges to your account or to your entity, user entity. And that's what authorization is. That is what you can do. And with that clear, let's move ahead and discuss this in context of IDOR. So when authorization goes out of the window, we get IDOR inside the house. That is once the application does, if the application does not checks authorization or has broken access controls, then this issue actually arises. So for instance, as I was telling you, consider this bank application where you can actually check your bank balances by providing your account number. So what happens if you modify your account number and give another person's account number? What does it do? Does it errors out, or does it actually shows you the account information of other user? So if the application is suffering from this vulnerability, then it will actually end up showing you the information for other user. And that's why it's dangerous, because even though you don't own that account, you can actually see the information of those users. So let's see how this actually crops up. This issue can happen when the application is trusting the user input which is sent in the request and using that to retrieve the user information. So as you can see, whatever we passed in the request is used as is to get the user information. And that's why this error typically happens. Now, with this issue, we can get the account balance for any user for that matter, right? I have put a star here because if the bank account numbers were pretty much random, for instance, they were like UUIDs, then it would be quite hard to guess those, and then in those cases it might be difficult to get to leverage this vulnerability and get the information for other users. But still, it's a serious issue. Random UUIDs don't typically save you if you have this issue, because let's say a bank gets hacked or there is some other vulnerability like SQL injection. In those cases, you can actually leak it. So you can leak this account ID and then get to work again, right? So the main thing is, in order to prevent this vulnerability, the access controls and authorizations have to be right. So for instance, in this case, how you would fix it is you can get the user account by getting the token. So let's say the account actually, so whenever you log in, you get a cookie or a token associated with your session, and that actually should be used in the backend to identify your user and get your account ID. Because if you see, user can actually send anything, right? And backend is not supposed to trust it. Backend should only trust the cookies or session identifiers, and then those should be actually used to reference your account ID, and then that account ID can be used to get your user information, and that's how you actually can save yourself in this case. But I must say that IDOR is not only limited to getting things or getting user information, but we can even update the details of other users if the application allows so. So for instance, consider back this banking website where we have a feature to update our profile. And now, as you can see, we can update our details. So what happens when we click this button? So if you are using some kind of interception proxy like Burpsuite, you can see the intercepted request and even update it. As you can see here, the account ID is 1234. Email is timmy@gmail.com. Password, address and phone number are same as they are listed here. So now what happens if we modify this request and modify the account ID to 1337 instead? Will the backend server update the details for this user with account ID 1337 and set it to these details? And if the answer to that question is yes, then the server is indeed vulnerable to IDOR and we have successfully updated the details for that user with account ID 1337, even though we did not had any access to that. So if you get a success message, then great, you have successfully exploited IDOR and got access to that account. But how can you confirm that? So is it blind or can you do something about it? So one technique that I use is I claim 2 accounts on the application that I am testing with different email IDs and then try to change things in one of those and see if the other account gets affected or not. So this is clearly an easy way so that you can test for these IDORs without having to go blind, because you definitely cannot ask the victim, right, whether you were affected or not. So therefore you can use 2 different accounts, and since you are in control, you can see if IDOR worked or not. So that's one possible way to test for IDOR without having to go blind. And that is IDOR in a nutshell. So I hope that you understand IDOR much better now than you knew before, and how to actually prevent it. That is by getting the access controls right, and the authorization checks should be correct. So that is the thing, that how you prevent IDOR. And with that, we conclude this video on IDOR, and I hope that things are much more clear now. So thank you for taking your time. So I'll see you next time, hopefully with some new, insightful and fun InfoSec video. So until then, keep learning and happy hacking.